Now let's go. As soon as they hear the voice and the flow, they already know it's Jay.
You're listening to the Doc Hardy Show on WPKN 89.5 FM. We're broadcasting from downtown Bridgeport, Connecticut, out of Studio One. And our signal reaches Fairfield, Litchfield, and New Haven counties here in Connecticut, Suffolk County, New York, Long Island. We stream around the world at WPKN.org, and you can tell your smart devices, Alexa and Siri, to please play WPKN. You can also find us through an assortment of apps that have the station on them. We have a guest in the studio. You saw my social media post earlier this week, Deborah Agnew, author. Deborah Agnew's here. She's a Connecticut author, and she wrote a very timely novel that we're going to talk about. The name of the novel is For the Love of Monica. So, first of all, let me greet you properly. How are you this morning, Deborah?
I'm doing well, Doc. How are you?
I'm good. You project very well.
Thank you.
so this book, For the Love of Monica, is very powerful. It covers a topic that has grown in concern in this nation, and that's centered around the drug fentanyl. So we're going to take this in a couple different pieces. So first of all, let's talk about the book itself and the plot itself. So there's Monica. She has a choice. You kind of visually describe it as between a red pill and white pill. Talk about her choice that she was presented with and what this book does in following her decision making.
Okay, first of all, we know about drugs. We all know what drugs is. It could be recreational, from marijuana to drinking alcohol, or it could be as powerful as something like fentanyl. Fentanyl, in its category as far as opiates is concerned, is one of the most powerful. It's even more powerful than heroin. So we could go its range. It could go that high. Monica has a choice to make based upon either being a journalism major and going off to college or getting high. Her doctor introduces her to something that gets her high. Monica's a cheerleader. She falls, hurts herself, and the migraines are so powerful that her doctor introduces her to fentanyl. Now, fentanyl, folks, comes in different forms. It can come in either liquid form or it can come in tablet form. It's usually known to be either green or white in terms of color. And Monica is taking the pill form. She gets high. She gets a high she's never known before and experiences. And wow, Monica goes off course. She goes off track. She starts hanging out with a dude who's got some issues. He's addicted to crack cocaine. He gets high. He's not from her track, her side of the wheels. Monica's born up upper middle class. This dude, Andre, she falls in love with from the other side of the track, south side of Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
Well, they hook up one night at the club. That's it for Monica. She falls in love head on. And she's high on fentanyl the night she goes out with a girl to the club. Now, this is based back on 1980, folks, back when doctors would give you whatever you wanted. It didn't matter. You hurt, you getting it. So Monica was introduced to it, and she got it. So she meets Andre at a club one night. They're dancing, grooving. Monica's feeling him. So goes back to his place. The rest, you got to read to find out what happens. Because Monica's life turns tipsy-turvy from a sanguine upper-class background where she's supposed to go off and be successful like her successful parents into turning into a drug addict.
All right. Well, you got me. You gave me my autographed copy, so I'm ready to. I'm ready to read it now. I want to find out what happened on it.
That's for you, Doc.
So why? You wrote this? What year did you write this book?
I actually wrote that 3 years ago. So let's see, it's 2020.
So 2020, you wrote it.
It took me only 10 months to write my novel.
Uh-huh. So why did you were concerned about fentanyl then? And obviously you've done a lot of research about it because you spoke very eloquently about it. So what's like the driving force behind you writing this book that centers around this drug? Like, why would you do that?
Well, first of all, I took a course back in 2005 at Gateway Community College in North Haven, Connecticut. And I took a course on drugs and society. So that's how I began taking an interest into opioids and different types of drugs. So that was one thing I did. I took a course in it, and it was interesting. I learned a lot. I studied a lot. And then all of a sudden, I remember that day. I'll never forget it. When I heard it on the news, they said Prince has died from an overdose. Doc, I love me some Prince.
I see you have purple on today. Just so the listeners know, you're wearing purple in here today. So that's,
God bless Prince's soul. I had to represent. But I love some Prince. And then when I found out, Doc, man, I was just like, no. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. A lot of people may know already, but Prince had an addiction to Percocet.
Right.
Percocet is in the opioid family.
Right.
It is acetaminophen. And it's also another drug called oxycodone. So it's a mixture, a combination. Pills like that are very addictive. And Prince got addicted because he fell at one tour one time on the stage with them high heels on, jumping off. He went flying up in the air, fell, bang, broke his head.
Yep.
So the doctor started prescribing him Percocet. Prince was addicted to Percocet for at least 10 years, but he kept it quiet. Nobody knew, not even this girl Chaka Khan, at least so she claims. But they did find aspirin bottles all around Prince's bedroom, aspirin bottles. He told people, it's just aspirin, but it really was Percocets. So Prince couldn't get a hold one night of his regular connection. He told his homeboy, take me wherever you gotta go. I need it, man. I'm out. So it was a sole secret between Prince and his side boy. They took Prince, stopped, went and got what he wanted, but it was the wrong connection. This connection had Percocet that actually was laced with fentanyl. Prince took it back to his place, Paisley Park, which everybody knows about that place. That's where he lives. And he took it. Went and got on the elevator, came down, within 5 minutes, bang, dead, done. Percocet and alone is a trip. That can get you really high. But mixed with fentanyl, that's deadly, man. Prince fell in the elevator. They found him there. Within 5 minutes, they say he was out. So after they did the autopsies and went a little bit further, they found out that the Percocets had been laced with fentanyl. And folks, fentanyl is so powerful that even a gram of salt can knock out a horse or an elephant. It is that powerful. So that's basically what inspired me. What we got on this thing where I said, I got to do this. I got to write about it.
Now, why did you choose a novel fiction format as opposed to a nonfiction format that presents research and data? Why did you do that approach?
I didn't go that way, Doc, because I am a fiction writer.
Okay.
My journey started out at 10 years old as being a poetry writer. Okay. I used to read Robert Frost, Emily Dickinson, so my first love was poetry. Then eventually, as I got older, I became the author of James Hill's High School, Class of 1980, I was a water, and I was the editor of the high school paper. So that goes in a little bit of a different way, but it kind of went on into telling stories, writing stories, going in that direction. So when this happened to Prince and I decided to sit down, I'm going to do this, I said, you know what? I better go fiction because I am told I'm good at telling stories. So I went to telling a story format.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Well, I'm sure it's powerful. You told us a couple of stories already this morning here. I'm captivated. You have a great knowledge of a good grasp of the topic, and that's outstanding. So, Monica, is Monica based on a specific person, or is she a composite, or like who? Talk about the development of that character, Monica.
Okay, Monica's 18 years old. She's African-American female. Beautiful. I got her in the book, and she's fine. I mean, she's fine. Her doctor becomes obsessed with her.
Right.
He's an not African-American doctor. He happens to be Caucasian.
Okay.
So he falls for Monica. And he's giving her more pills than she's supposed to get. He's prescribing her more and more pills so that he can get her into his clutch. And at the same time, in the examination room, when she comes to see him, he also starts touching Monica in inappropriate ways. He does not allow the nurse to come in. He locks the door. Monica starts saying, hey, what's going on here? The doctor goes, you want more pills, don't you? Because he knows he's got her hooked. So I went off on that angle. And people might say, you can't do that. A doctor wouldn't do that. Hey, wait a minute, folks. A doctor is just as human as me and you. They make mistakes too. So he falls in love with Monica. He does this stuff in the office. And Monica is totally desperate. She needs the pills. She wants the pills. So she goes along with it for a while. I don't want to go no further.
Okay.
You got to read it to see how this relationship develops.
Everybody's completely fictional. Nobody's based on any real person.
Not based on a true story. It's all fictional.
You took your desire to write about the topic, obviously of fentanyl, but it sounds like a subtopic. Is molestation and abuse is a subtopic.
Exactly.
And it's set in the 80s when those things were kind of hush-hush taboo.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Almost definitely.
And so now today, everybody's real hypersensitive about both.
Mm-hmm.
And so the book is set in the 80s, but you wrote it 3 years ago. So it's current, but it's using an old problem.
Very ironic that happened that way. When I did this, I had no idea that 3 years later, I'd be sitting here talking about something that is tragic, that is an epidemic, that is absolutely, oh man, if you could see Seattle, they on the streets, they're homeless, they're all on fentanyl, dying in layers. Over in Baltimore, they got a spot in Baltimore, Maryland, where all the fentanyl users hang out at. And then there's also another area, San Francisco. Bad, man. It's bad. This goes back, Doc, to the 1960s, mid to late 60s, when heroin and smack was the thing. Bumpy Johnson, back in them days, he was the big bad boss, along with the Italian mafia that was producing it in Harlem. It was an epidemic. People laying on the streets, needles in their arm. Terrible. This reminds me, Doc, this fentanyl epidemic of what happened back then with heroin and smack when it first became a tragic epidemic. So this thing is real.
Wow. So the book is called For the Love of Monica. Its author is in my studio right now, Deborah Agnew. Deborah, it's a very powerful, you set this up real nice. I think people are going to read. So first of all, how can people follow you on social media? What are your social media places?
I'm not on Instagram. Don't do Instagram.
Okay.
Primarily Facebook, and you can get a copy. The book actually is published in the UK, in London. Right. You can get it in London, or you can come across the border in the States and get it off Amazon.com.
Right, Amazon. I saw it on other sites too, Goodreads.com. So basically, where books are sold, you're likely to find this.
You can even find it in Barnes and Nobles. North Haven, Connecticut also has a section on these types of topics, and they have For the Love of Monica there. Okay. And you can, if you live in North Haven, New Haven, you can always go and get a copy out of there.
Now you have an obvious passion for the topic. And I applaud you for that. You know, really,
thank you, Doc.
Like real applause. and you're very persistent because you called me multiple times. Not gonna say how many, but multiple times. While I'm working my day job, I'm like, after the third time, I said, this person really wants to talk to me about something. so at the next break I had, that's when I reached out to you, and you told me about your book, and I said, sure, come on in here. I love to have authors in here. And especially locally to talk about their book. So again, the book is called For the Love of Monica. The author is Deborah Agnew. Deborah, before I let you go, what's your hope for writing this? Like, what do you hope this accomplishes?
I hope a reader can read this, Doc, and then come away from it feeling, wait a minute here. This can happen to anybody. Nobody, Doc, is insusceptible to getting addicted to a drug. People think, okay, it's just Tylenol with codeine. My doctor prescribed the one every 4 hours is needed for pain. I ain't gonna get addicted. It ain't gonna happen to me. Oh, yes, it can. Opioids in different categories and in different frames are all addictive. Once you start taking them, the body builds up a tolerance to it, and then eventually the user is wanting more and more and more and more. It's nothing to play around with. Now doctors, Doc, they're a little bit scared now. They don't want to too much prescribed opiates. They want to stay away from it. But they don't realize you can get it right off the streets. They're actually selling fentanyl right now at $5 a bag for maybe 2 or 3 pills. They're that desperate, and they're making that much money on the streets off of fentanyl.
So basically, it's a warning to the wise.
It's a warning to the wise. Be careful. You out there in the street hustling, you better know what you're doing and who you're dealing with.
Right. Again, the book is For the Love of Monica. I'm Doc. This is the Doc Hardy Show. Deborah Agnew. Deborah, thank you for coming in.
Pleasure.
And nice having you. The vibes I've been going on, the Icy Brothers vibes brought a drifter into the studio. His name is Michael Dunham. You might recognize him. He's a radio DJ here at PKN. He's also a phenomenal vocalist. So after a couple of more songs from the Icy family, I'm going to chat with Michael. We got some things coming up. And we'll share some of those with you. I'm Doc Hardy. This is the Doc Hardy Show. We're going to start the set with another one by Alex Isley. This one's called About Him.